All right, guys, so we got to talk about more drama surrounding the vote for Speaker of the House in Congress. And it's currently still going on. Kevin McCarthy has not won yet. And that's because the House Freedom Caucus is standing strong in their ideals that this guy does not deserve to be Speaker. He does not deserve to be in leadership. And they have thrown their support around other candidates, for example, like Jim Jordan, who himself is not really all that interested or doesn't seem to be that interested in being Speaker, right? But they're throwing out different candidates that, they feel like deserve to be Speaker or should be Speaker more than Kevin McCarthy. And one of the latest nominees by the House Freedom Caucus is Congressman Byron Donalds from Florida, which he was nominated by Lauren Boebert on the House floor today. Take a look.
But too often, our efforts have fallen on deaf ears. Our border is wide open. Inflation is out of control. The Senate just passed $1.7 trillion without our input. So let me be clear. Our job is not to coronate the biggest fundraiser or rubber stamp the status quo or keep on going along to get along. It's to use our votes to elect a speaker who will enable us to get our country back on track. Getting the job done is what we were elected to do. And that starts with having a leader who supports Republican principles, builds consensus, and has a proven track record of success. Byron Donalds is that leader. Republicans, including many moderates, have been impressed by Byron Donalds. They're impressed by his ability to work together. They respect his leadership. We see him as someone who can communicate what we are all wanting to do in this House to Americans. And he represents so much more than just his district in Florida. Many millions of Americans all over this nation praise the work and the leadership of Byron Donalds. So let's work together. Let's stop with the campaign smears and tactics to get people to turn against us, even having my favorite president call us and tell us we need to knock this off. I think it actually needs to be reversed. The president needs to tell Kevin McCarthy that, sir, you do not have the votes and it's time to withdraw. And with that, I yield. Thank you. I yield.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Lauren Boebert nominated Byron Donalds to be Speaker of the House. Now, Byron Donalds has only been in Congress for, I think, one term. Okay, I think this is his sophomore term. However, he has already started to challenge the GOP for leadership. He actually challenged Alicia Stefanik back in November for her position. Unfortunately lost. But again, he has been pretty impressive considering how he hasn't been in Congress that long. Impressive enough for his colleagues in the House Freedom Caucus to nominate him for House Speaker. Now, again, you would think that this conversation would only just be about, okay, well, who should be House Speaker? Race really shouldn't have anything to do with it, right? In fact, you shouldn't even be thinking about his race at all. However, that's not the case when it comes to Democrats who have gotten mind-effed by the fact that the House Freedom Caucus, which is a caucus that they claim is a caucus of white supremacy, nominated a black man to be Speaker of the House. And if Donalds was to win, which he didn't win in the first vote in which they nominated him, I think he got like 20 votes or something like that. But if he was to win, then he would be the first black Speaker of the House. Now, obviously, the House Freedom Caucus is not thinking about that because they nominated Jim Jordan first. They're just trying to find somebody that's not Kevin McCarthy that has the cojones to actually put up a challenge, right? However, Democrats are thinking about that, and that's probably one of the reasons why they are getting behind Hakeem Jeffries is so that they can say that, hey, look, we have the first black Speaker of the House. Black folks vote for us, the same way they did with Corinne Jean-Pierre and with Ketanji Brown Jackson. They love the affirmative action, right, hires, okay? But in this case, I don't think that the Freedom Caucus is thinking about Byron Donalds' skin color when they nominate him as much as they're thinking about the fact that, hey, if it's not Jim Jordan, if he's not going to stand up and try to get the position himself, let's go to the next best guy. The next best guy is Byron Donalds, right? However, Cori Bush has a problem with this, right? Cori Bush, who I believe is probably the dumbest congressperson, not just woman, right, but one of the dumbest Congress members to ever serve in the House. She's also one of the most hideous as well too. I got to be 100 with you about that, right? I'm not holding back on Cori Bush because she doesn't hold back when she puts out garbage like this. So I'm gonna basically just say what I believe about her, and I don't care if people don't like the fact that I'm criticizing a black woman, but she deserves all the criticism and hate, right, that she gets for putting out this type of nonsense, in which she responded to Byron Donalds being nominated as, quote, is not historic, right? He's not a historic candidate for speaker. Byron Donalds is a prop. Despite being black, he supports a policy agenda intended on upholding and perpetuating white supremacy. His name being in the mix is not progress. It's pathetic. Now, again, this is just a disgusting tweet on so many levels, right? For various reasons. Again, this is a hideous tweet, a disgusting tweet coming from a hideous and disgusting person, right? On multiple ways, right? I'm talking about multiple ways, right? I'm talking about every way possible, really, for Cori Bush. Okay, hideous and disgusting. I don't know how she got pregnant. I don't know who decided to, get out of shot, but you got some desperate men out here. But what she's doing here is using the old trope, the old racist trope from the Democrats, that if you don't agree with us, then you're not black, right? It's not historic when a black Republican is nominated or becomes Speaker of the House. It's only historic if a black Democrat becomes Speaker of the House, right? In fact, when a black Republican becomes Speaker of the House, it is white supremacy, right? White supremacy. Again, it doesn't get any dumber than this. It really doesn't. To say that somebody's policies or what they believe in has anything to do with their race or their skin color is like textbook racism, right? It really is. And Cori Bush, who's supposed to be a race crusader, constantly puts on displays of just overt racism towards black people that don't agree with her. And what's funny is that I don't know what about a Republican agenda or conservative values that is so anti-black or supposed to be white supremacy, because I'm going to keep it 100 with you guys. If I was a so-called white supremacist, which I guess I am, right, because I'm a conservative, therefore I'm a white supremacist. If I was a white supremacist, I would actually be a Democrat. More specifically, I would be a progressive. You know why? Because all the progressive policies that people like Cori Bush push, who, by the way, is from one of the most dangerous cities, represents one of the most dangerous cities, most dangerous districts in this country, by the way, is all detrimental to black people, right? Like, for example, I'll be pro-abortion. Well, why is that? It's because basically it will be a great way of controlling the black population growth, right? As a white supremacist, I want to make sure just white babies are born, right? And I want to make sure all the black babies get killed, okay? That's what I want to do, right? If I'm a white supremacist. So therefore, I'll be pro-abortion. I would be pro-extreme gun control. And the reason why is because that way, law-abiding black people can't protect themselves, disarm them, right? Make them vulnerable. Okay, I also would not lock up the criminals. I'll be pro-progressive criminal justice reform so that criminals can run and dominate the black neighborhoods in some of these inner liberal cities like St. Louis, Missouri. I would be for defund the police, which Cori Bush is basically one of the only Democrats that is dumb enough to still say that she supports defunding the police, despite the fact that she spends like, what, $500,000 a year on personal protection for herself. Yeah, I would defund the police. I would take all the police out of black neighborhoods and let them be run by gangs and criminals and never lock those gangs and criminals up, while also disarming law-abiding citizens. That, to me, seems to be the most effective form of white supremacy that I could think of, right? Again, if I was a white supremacist, I would most certainly be a progressive. Not to mention, I would try to keep black people dependent on the government. I would teach their kids about sex and gender in school, make sure they never learn anything of value that they can actually use to, I don't know, make some money, right? To actually move up the socioeconomic ladder, okay? To actually have good values and to be positive contributors to society. I would make sure they don't learn any of that stuff. And I also be, again, pro-segregation as well, too, which is what progressives are for, right? Pro-segregation. I would be for all those things, right? It seems to me like the whole progressive platform is a platform of white supremacy if you go by policy. Again, if I was a white supremacist, I would agree with that heavily. Heavily, I would agree with some of the same things that Cori Bush believes in, which makes this tweet so funny. Because I don't think that Byron Donalds believes in those things, right? I don't think he believes in defunding police. Okay, I think he actually believes in the opposite of that, which helps, keep black communities safer, right? He believes in law-abiding citizens arming themselves. He believes in lower taxes and a balanced budget, right? Not letting our country run rampant with inflation. I think he worked in the financial industry before getting into politics, so he actually understands the economy and taxes, unlike Cori Bush, who understands nothing about taxes or the economy, okay, outside of what she's been told to say by the progressives. Yeah, I mean, again, this tweet is just silly for so many reasons. And I'm just sick and tired of this overt racism here from Democrats not being called out for what it is. It's racism. You can't sit here and just say that just because a black person doesn't agree with you politically, that means they're not black, right? Or that him becoming House Speaker is not historic. If it's historic, if a black Democrat becomes House Speaker, then it should be historic if a black Republican becomes House Speaker. But unlike the Democrats, I don't think that skin color had anything to do with Byron Donalds' nomination from the Freedom Caucus, as much as that they just want to find somebody, anybody to challenge McCarthy that actually, got the cojones to do it. Okay. And that's how it should be, right? Skin color shouldn't have that much to do with you being nominated to a leadership position. But again, it's like I tell you guys, when these people claim they're pro-black, they don't actually mean they're pro-black. They actually mean they're pro-progressive. They're pro-Democrat. And if you're not pro-Democrat, you're not pro-progressive, then you're not really black. Okay, they love black people until black people decide, I don't want to vote Democrat, right? And then at that point, you're a white supremacist. You're the worst person in the world. They hate you. The racism comes out. How they really feel about you comes out. Again, it's fascinating how this stuff happens every single time. Every single time. Democrats will lose their minds if Republicans actually made Byron Donalds, right, the Speaker of the House, because they'd be like, damn, we can't say that we nominated the first black Speaker of the House, which again, skin color should have nothing to do with the nomination in the first place. I don't really think it has anything to do with the nomination from the House Freedom Caucus as much as they're just trying to find somebody better than McCarthy. But, again, I just love how when black Democrats do stuff, it's worth celebrating, right? When black Republicans do stuff, oh, it's not. And they do the same thing with women too, right? When Amy Coney Barrett got nominated to the Supreme Court, if it was a white Democrat woman or just a Democrat woman in general, oh, this is more history, this is great, this is awesome, this is amazing, more women on the Supreme Court, right? But because it's a white Republican woman, oh, she's the worst thing in the world, right? I mean, they questioned her womanhood. They was like, is Amy Coney Barrett really a woman, right? Because she doesn't believe in abortion. Again, it just blows my mind, the overt sexism and racism that comes out of the Democrat Party that is never called out, right? It's just overt bigotry. And they do it every single time Republicans put somebody in a position of power that is not a straight white man, which is proof that, again, the GOP is not a party of white supremacy, but they have to do some type of mental gymnastics to try to say, oh, no, this is white supremacy, even though it's clearly not, right? It's clearly not. It's just funny how that works. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.